The small town of Ravensbrook was painted with the colours of autumn, golden yellows, fiery oranges and deep reds. Halloween was just around the corner, and you could feel its electric energy everywhere. Front lawns were adorned with carved pumpkins, their flickering candles casting eerie shadows, and fake cobwebs clung to trees and porches, moving gently with the wind. Children's laughter filled the air as they ran around in costumes, practicing their best boo to scare each other. Alex had just moved to Ravensbrook over the summer. The town, with its tight-knit community and centuries-old traditions, was a far cry from the bustling city they had grown up in. As much as Alex missed the city's tall skyscrapers and 24-hour diners, there was something undeniably enchanting about celebrating Halloween in Ravensbrook. While hanging plastic bats on the porch of their new house, Alex's phone buzzed. It was a text from Lena, their next-door neighbour and the first friend they'd made in town. "Hey, you up for some trick-or-treating tonight?" Alex chuckled. They were both 17, a bit old for trick-or-treating, but the spirit of Halloween in Ravensbrook was infectious. Definitely. And after that, how about a horror movie marathon at my place? Sounds perfect, Lena texted back. Oh, and steer clear of the old antique store that pops up downtown. Just some friendly advice. Confused, Alex quickly replied, "What antique store?" There was a pause before Lena responded. "It's a bit of a legend here. They say an antique store appears every Halloween night, and it's not your typical store. Strange things happen to those who enter. My grandma told me stories about it when I was little. Most of us just avoid it." Alex raised an eyebrow. A mysterious antique store that appeared only on Halloween. It sounded like something out of a horror film. "Sounds intriguing," Alex replied, already feeling the pull of curiosity. "Just be careful, okay? Some legends are better left alone," came Lena's response. Alex looked out into the distance, the setting sun painting the sky with hues of purple and orange. They were excited about the evening's festivities, but now the legend of the antique store had planted a seed of intrigue in their mind. Unbeknownst to Alex, this Halloween would be unlike any other they had ever experienced. Night descended upon Ravensbrook, and with it came a heightened sense of excitement. The town square was alive with activity. Young children dressed as goblins, witches and superheroes ran from door to door, their bags heavy with candy. Homes competed in unspoken contests of who had the spookiest decorations. And amidst it all, Alex and Lena roamed the streets, laughing and sharing tales of Halloween's past. Lena, dressed as a Victorian ghost with a long flowing white gown and pale makeup, would occasionally float ahead, spooking some of the younger trick-or-treaters. Alex, on the other hand, had chosen to be a classic vampire, complete with fangs and a cape. They'd joke about being creatures from two different eras, a mismatched pair bound by the spirit of Halloween. As they made their way through the town, Alex noticed a group of older townsfolk gathered around the statue of the town's founder in the square. They whispered among themselves, throwing occasional glances towards a narrow alleyway. Curious, Alex nudged Lena. "What's that all about?" Alex nodded in the direction of the gathering. Lena followed Alex's gaze, her playful demeanour fading into seriousness. "It's almost time for the antique store to appear," she whispered, her voice tinged with a mix of fear and awe. "You really believe in that legend?" Alex asked, trying to keep the skepticism out of their voice. Lena looked at Alex, her eyes reflecting the depth of her belief. "It's not just a legend, Alex. My grandmother's friend went in once, decades ago. She came out. Different. She'd lost her sense of time and kept speaking about visions from the past that haunted her." Alex swallowed, the weight of Lena's words settling in. "But it's just an old tale, right? Maybe she had some other issues." Lena sighed. "Maybe. But every year there's always someone new in town or someone too curious for their own good who goes in. And not all of them come out the same." The atmosphere between them grew heavy. In the distance, the town clock began to chime, its deep bell tolling 9 times. Suddenly, an eerie glow emanated from the previously mentioned alleyway, drawing the attention of the townspeople. Whispers grew lewder as a quaint, old-fashioned storefront gradually materialized from the shadows. The wooden sign hanging above the entrance read, "Mortis Antiques." Alex felt an inexplicable pull towards it, like a moth to a flame. The tales and warnings faded into the background as their feet began to move of their own accord. Lena grabbed Alex's arm, her grip firm. "Remember what I told you, stay away." Alex snapped back to reality, looking at Lena, then at the store, and back to Lena. The internal battle of curiosity versus caution played out on their face. For now, caution won. The duo continued their trick-or-treating, but the antique store and its mysteries loomed large in Alex's mind, casting a long shadow over the evening's festivities. Hours had passed, and the streets of Ravensbrook began to empty. Young children, exhausted but giddy from their candy haul, were led home by their parents. The mist rolled in, giving the town an ethereal look, perfect for Halloween night. Alex and Lena had amassed quite a collection of candies themselves. They sat on a park bench, sorting through their loot and trading favourites. The glow from nearby street lamps, coupled with the occasional jack-o'-lantern, painted a serene picture. However, Alex's mind was elsewhere. The vision of the antique store, with its ghostly appearance and all the legends surrounding it, was hard to shake off. "Lena," Alex began, hesitatingly, "have you ever thought about going in? Just to see if all the tales are true?" Lena looked up, her eyes widening. "No, and neither should you. Some mysteries are better left unsolved." "But what if it's just a store? We could be missing out on some cool antiques." Alex tried to sound casual, but their curiosity was evident. Lena sighed. "Alex, I've grown up hearing these stories. They're not just tales to scare kids. People have had real experiences." Alex pondered for a moment. "What if we just peek through the window? We don't have to go in, I just want to see what's inside." Lena hesitated. She didn't want to entertain the idea, but she also didn't want Alex going there alone. "Okay, a quick peek. But promise me, no going inside." Alex nodded, grateful. The two made their way back to the town square. As they approached the alleyway, the antique store seemed even more alluring. Its windows glowed invitingly, and the door stood slightly ajar, as if welcoming any brave soul to enter. The closer they got, the more they could hear a soft, melodic tune playing from inside the store, reminiscent of a bygone era. It was oddly comforting and eerie at the same time. Pressing their faces to the window, they tried to discern the items inside. There were aged clocks, dusty books, and old paintings, everything one would expect in an antique store. But then, something caught Alex's eye. Towards the back, on a pedestal, sat an ornate hourglass, its dark crimson sands flowing slowly. "That's beautiful," Alex whispered, their voice laced with wonder. Before Lena could respond, the door creaked open wider as if pushed by an unseen force. The melody grew louder, more inviting. "Let's go back," Lena urged, a hint of panic in her voice. Alex, however, was entranced. They took a step forward, and then another, drawn in by the hourglass and the melody. Lena tried to pull them back, but the allure of the store was too strong. With a deep breath, Alex crossed the threshold, stepping into the antique store. Lena, after a moment of hesitation, followed, determined not to leave her friend alone. The door closed behind them, and the soft chime of a bell announced their entrance. The world outside faded, and the mysteries of Mortis Antiques awaited them. Inside, Mortis Antiques was larger than it appeared from the outside. The air was heavy with the scent of old wood and aged paper. Creaky wooden floors echoed with every step, and rows of shelves lined with antiques stretched out before them. Lena clung to Alex's arm, her earlier bravado replaced by genuine fear. "Let's go back," she whispered urgently. But Alex was transfixed. They moved deeper into the store, drawn by the hourglass they had seen from the window. As they approached it, they realized it wasn't just the hourglass that was captivating. Behind it, sitting on an ornate high-back chair, was an old man. His skin was pale, almost translucent, and his eyes, a piercing blue, seemed to hold galaxies within them. He wore an old-fashioned suit and his fingers, long and skeletal, tapped rhythmically on the armrest. "Welcome to Mortis Antiques." His voice, deep yet soft, broke the silence. "I am Mr. Mortis, the keeper of this establishment. And who, might I ask, are the brave souls who've entered my domain this evening?" Lena, summoning all her courage, spoke first. "We were just curious. We didn't mean to intrude. We'll be leaving now." Mr. Mortis chuckled, a sound that sent shivers down their spines. "Oh, curiosity is no intrusion. In fact, it's the very reason for this store's existence, especially on a night like this." Alex, gathering their wits, finally spoke. "Your store. It's legendary in Ravensbrook, but why? Why does it appear only on Halloween?" Mr. Mortis leaned forward, the light from the candles casting shadows on his ancient face. "Halloween is a night when the veil between worlds is thinnest. It's a time for mysteries, for the past to touch the present. This store is a gateway to many such mysteries." He gestured towards the hourglass. "For instance, the haunting hourglass. It's a relic of immense power. It allows one to relive any past Halloween of their choosing." Lena's eyes widened. "That's impossible." Mr. Mortis merely smiled. "On any other night, yes, but on Halloween, the impossible becomes possible." Alex, unable to resist, stepped closer to the hourglass. "How does it work?" Mr. Mortis's eyes glinted with a mix of mischief and warning. "Turn it, think of the Halloween you wish to revisit, and the sands of time will do the rest. But be warned, time is a fickle thing. What you experience might not be what you expect." Lena, sensing danger, tried to pull Alex away. "We need to leave. Now." But Alex was entranced, not just by the hourglass, but by the allure of reliving a moment from their past. Before Lena could stop them, they turned the hourglass. The store began to shift and blur. The sound of the ticking clocks grew louder and more frantic. The world around them spun and the grip of time pulled them into its embrace. When the world finally came into focus, they were no longer in Mortis Antiques. They were in a place that seemed both familiar and strangely twisted. It was Ravensbrook, but not as they knew it. The journey through the haunting hourglass had begun. Ravensbrook had changed. The once familiar houses appeared aged, their vibrant paints faded. The streets, though still cobblestoned, were uneven and overgrown with weeds. The autumn leaves seemed more abundant, but they lay soggy and brown, as if they'd been there for years. The townspeople, too, were different. Their clothes were reminiscent of styles from decades ago, and they wore expressions of sadness and worry. The playful laughter of children was noticeably absent. Lena, wide-eyed and fearful, gripped Alex's arm. "Where are we? Or when are we?" Alex looked around, trying to make sense of it all. They remembered the last Halloween they spent with their grandmother in Ravensbrook before she passed away. It was a cherished memory, filled with warmth and love. But this wasn't the same. It was as if the joy of that memory had been siphoned away, leaving only an eerie, hollowed-out version. Suddenly, from a distance, Alex recognized a familiar face. It was their grandmother, but younger. She was standing outside her old house, looking worriedly at a group of people gathered in the town square. The crowd was huddled around a large, ominous-looking machine, which emitted a low, continuous hum. Lena and Alex exchanged glances and cautiously approached the gathering. As they got closer, they overheard hushed conversations. The word sacrifice was repeated several times, sending chills down their spines. A tall, stern-looking man stood atop a makeshift stage, trying to calm the crowd. "It's the only way," he declared. "The machine demands it. We must give it what it wants, or Ravensbrook will be lost forever." Alex's grandmother, tears in her eyes, stepped forward. "But they are just children. There must be another way." The man's expression softened momentarily, but he remained resolute. "It's for the greater good." Realization hit Alex like a freight train. This wasn't just a trip back in time. It was a journey into an alternate past, a twisted version of their cherished memory. The machine, whatever it was, had somehow taken the joy and life out of Ravensbrook, and in this reality, the town was trying to appease it with unthinkable sacrifices. "We need to go back," Lena whispered urgently, her face pale. But Alex wasn't ready. They needed to understand, to find a way to help. They approached their grandmother, trying to muster up courage. "Grandma, it's me, Alex." She looked at them, confusion evident in her eyes, but there was a spark of recognition. "I know you, but how? And from where?" Before Alex could respond, the machine's hum grew louder, its vibrations shaking the ground. The townspeople began to panic, and the children, looking scared and resigned, were led towards the machine. Lena pulled at Alex. "We need to leave now. We can't change this. It's not our reality." Tears streaming down their face, Alex took one last look at the scene and nodded. Holding on to the haunting hourglass, which had mysteriously remained with them, they willed themselves back to Mortis Antiques, praying that the sands of time would guide them home. The world around them blurred once again, the sounds of the distorted Ravensbrook fading into a muffled echo. The sensation of being pulled through time and space was disorienting, and Alex and Lena clung to each other, seeking comfort in their shared experience. When their surroundings finally came into focus, they found themselves back in Mortis Antiques, surrounded by the familiar shelves of old clocks, books, and trinkets. The soft, melodic tune played in the background, a stark contrast to the chaotic events they had just witnessed. Mr. Mortis sat in his chair, his blue eyes observing them with a mixture of amusement and concern. "I warned you," he said softly. "Time is a fickle thing. The hourglass doesn't just take you back. It shows you the many facets of time, the what-ifs and might-have-beens." Lena, her voice shaking, responded, "That wasn't just a past. It was a nightmare. Why would such a thing even exist?" "The haunting hourglass is not just a tool. It's a lesson," Mr. Mortis explained. "It shows us that our choices, our actions, and our memories shape not only our reality, but the very fabric of time itself. Every moment, every decision has consequences, some seen and some hidden in the shadows of alternate realities." Alex, still trying to process everything, whispered, "But it felt so real. Those people, the children." Mr. Mortis nodded. "It was real, in a way. Every possibility, every alternate path exists somewhere in the vast expanse of time. But you are back now, in your own reality, with the power to shape your future." With trembling hands, Alex placed the haunting hourglass back on its pedestal. "I wanted to relive a cherished memory, not witness a horror story." "Sometimes," Mr. Mortis replied, "we must face the shadows to truly appreciate the light. Your memory remains untainted. It's the lesson you take away from this that matters." Taking a deep breath, Lena took Alex's hand. "Let's go home." As they moved towards the exit, Mr. Mortis called out, "Remember, every day is a chance to make choices, to shape not only your destiny but the very course of time itself. Choose wisely." Stepping out of the store, they were greeted by the familiar sights and sounds of Ravensbrook on Halloween night. The horrors of the alternate past felt distant, like a fading dream. They walked in silence for a while, absorbing the lessons of the night. When they finally spoke, it was a promise to each other and themselves, to cherish their memories, to make choices with care, and to always appreciate the present. Behind them, as the clock neared midnight, Mortis Antiques began to fade, its purpose served for another year. And while the mysteries of time remained, Alex and Lena had gained a deeper understanding of its intricate dance. The end.